Hey, and welcome to Girl Be Free, a podcast designed to help women get unstuck and cultivate the life you want on your terms. I'm Siobhan, your host, and I'm passionate about empowering women to live their best life. Each week, you'll hear pep talks that will inspire and push you to take action so you too can start to be free and live the life you want. You can learn more about me at BeFreeProject.com. Now let's jump into the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, where I am going to inspire and motivate you to take action in your life. So first off, I am loving this week my new podcast mic. Shout out to my babe. He purchased me a mic, and I also received a few donations from you guys, so thank you so much. And I'm excited about having a mic because ever since I started the podcast, I was using earbuds. And I want to share this because, and I shared it on another episode as well, the reason that I waited to get a mic is because I wanted to make sure a few things, that I would be consistent, that I really enjoyed it, and that it was something that my audience wanted from me. And I am having fun recording these podcasts. I'm receiving so much positive feedback about how much you guys love it, and I am consistent. So I have a mic now. I'm taking it to the next level. I feel really good about it, and I'm interested to see what's to come just from me showing up for myself. So hopefully you can tell the difference in the quality of the podcast. I can already tell. I did a few test episodes, and I can tell the difference from recording with a mic versus using my earbuds. So that is what I am loving this week. Now on to today's topic, which is resources to help you do the self-work. So if you listened to last week's episode, I talked about doing the self-work, and y'all reached out to me. I received so much positive feedback from emails to messages on social media telling me you guys needed that episode and you needed to know where to start. So after because I do go back and I listen to my own podcast, and as I was listening to it, I was like, you know what, you guys need resources. So I decided to compile a list of resources to help you do the self-work. When I started my journey several years ago, I was on Google, I was YouTubing, I was at the library trying to just find all the things to help me. And I wish there was a list of some sort that would help me get started. So this is for you, especially if you're in the beginning of doing the self-work, or maybe you've been doing it for a while. I'm sure you're going to find something beneficial from this list. I also created a printable free download for you where everything that I'm going to share today, you can print it out. And then that way you can keep it with you. You can post it up at home. You can share it with your friends, maybe even share it on your social media platforms or your website. And then there's also going to be some blank pages where you can, as you start to do the self-work, you can add on to the list. All right. So first I'm going to share podcasts with you. And these are my favorite podcasts that I listen to and that I highly recommend. Number one, if you are not subscribed to the Girl Be Free podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends, especially if you have been benefiting from it. I want you to help me get the word out about it. All right. The next one I want you to listen to, and these are all list of podcasts first. So the first one is Black Girl and Om, and their podcast is all about holistic wellness and inner beauty for women of color. So the host shares their journey. They also interview different guests, and it's all about just living your best life and wellness, which is so beautiful, and we need to hear more podcasts like theirs. The next podcast that I love is called Hey Girl by Alex L. And I just love Alex L. I follow her on Instagram. I read her blog. I want to meet her one day, maybe even collaborate in some kind of way. Who knows? But her podcast is all about self-care, storytelling, and sisterhood. And what I love is that she interviews different women through different aspects of life, and they share their story. And the guests are so vulnerable, and they're in their sharing, and it helps me realize, number one, that I'm not alone, and number two, you can grow and learn just from hearing other people's story and be encouraged. The next podcast is called The Friend Zone. I religiously listen to the Friend Zone every single week, and it's all about mental health and hygiene with a little laughter in between. So kind of think of how they phrased it is pop culture when pop culture meets Zen. So I really listen for Hey Friend Hey. She's my fave. She's someone else I would love to connect with and maybe even attend her retreat one day. But she talks a lot about like wellness, and then she brings up different topics all about like being your best self. And then her two co-hosts, which are Asante and Dustin, they give you a lot of the laughter and the pop culture, and they've done a really great job with blending everything in between. And there's this one episode that I listened to, and I'm sure I listened to it about 3 or 4 times, and it was titled who something about wearing a mask, or whose mask are you wearing? And it talked about how we cover up our outer selves and not we wear this mask to cover up our outer selves while people are really hurting inside. That's the first episode I would recommend that you listen to. It talked a lot. They shared about like things that had happened in their childhood and how they were wearing a mask and pulling it back and becoming their true selves. Like, I highly recommend that episode. But the podcast in general is really good. The next one is Getting Grown, which is the hosts are Kia and Jade, and they're actually friends of the Friend Zone and the Read, which I love the Read too. But it's all about like Black women who share their challenges of trying to adult and getting grown on their terms. And so they have interviewed a few guests, but more often each week they're sharing, they're answering listener letters. They are sharing their pet peeves. They answer questions, of course, and then they have a different topic or a different theme. So I really like it because they are two Black women sharing their journey of how they're adulting in life. The next podcast is called Therapy for Black Girls, which is an online space dedicated to encouraging the mental wellness. So y'all know I'm all about therapy, right? So I highly recommend therapy. But let's just say you can't get to a therapist. Maybe you can't afford it. Maybe you're just not ready. This podcast is a great way to get started. She has a lot of different topics dealing with like mental wellness that I highly recommend that you tune into. She also has something on Instagram too, the host, where each week she does like a Instagram live on different topics. So definitely check her out on Instagram. And again, it's called Therapy for Black Girls. The next podcast is called Dear Sugar, and it's an advice column where people write in and the hosts share their perspective and insight. So what I like about this is that people write in about everything. And some things I'm like, really? People go through this? But they do. And so Cheryl Strayhead, I probably pronounced her name wrong, but she's an author. She wrote a couple of books or whatever, and then I can't remember the guy's name. But again, they answer listener questions each week, and they give their perspective, and they both are so wise in how they answer. And I'm like, I learn something each time I tune in. The next one is Myleik Teele. Her podcast, she's the founder of Curlbox, and her podcast is all about business and personal growth. So she talks a lot about entrepreneurship, but then she talks about therapy, pushing past your fears. She shares how she's maneuvering through life. And she just had a baby, so congratulations to her. But her podcast is what I see is like figuring out life, and it's catered to 30-somethings, but I feel like anybody at any age can get some of the gems that she's dropping from week to week. And so she does solo episodes, but then she also interviews guests from time to time. Next up is Super Soul Conversations. So, Oprah has her Super Soul Sundays, and she has turned those into a podcast, and she interviews many different guests. And so I really like it because you can hear something about money and then spirituality, authors, comedians, like you name it, like she interviews everyone. And I love really good storytelling. All right. The next one is the Lavender Lifestyle, which is about personal growth and lifestyle design. And then the last podcast, which is one of my favorites, is Behind the Brilliance with Lisa Nicole Bell. And her podcast is about personal development, and she interviews entrepreneurs. And I love when she interviews entrepreneurs because she asks the right questions. And so they will share their journey from how they got started, everything that happened in between, and then how they got to a level of success. And then she also does solo episodes when she talks about personal growth. And I have learned a lot just listening to her. And she shares books and the things that she loves and enjoys. And it's just a really, really good podcast. So all the podcasts that I just shared with you basically are about holistic wellness, self-care, mental health, and personal growth. And these are really great podcasts that I recommend that you start with. And of course, if you have something to add to the list, definitely email me, tag me on social media, and let me know what you're listening to. All right, the next resource I want to share is meditation apps. So as of today, I have meditated consecutively for 86 days. And I am blown away because I have never done this before, where I have meditated consecutively for that amount of time. And so I highly recommend meditation because it helps you to stay calm. It helps you to get in tune with yourself, to sit with yourself, to begin to learn yourself. And I have noticed a change in me, and I'm more aware of who I am just by meditating. So I meditate on average between 5 to 10 minutes a day. And I personally like guided meditation. So these are 3 apps that you can check out. And the first one is the one that I use every single day, which is Insight Timer. And there are thousands of meditations. And many of them are guided, but there may be some where there's just music. So you can bookmark your favorites, listen to them over and over again. And you can even choose for how many minutes that you want to meditate. So whether you want to start out at 5 minutes, maybe 10, 30 minutes, whatever, like you can find meditations for whatever you need. So check that one out. And then I'm going to share 2 more with you. The next one is called Calm, CALM. And then the last one, which is really popular, called Headspace. And so I know Headspace for sure has a free trial where you get 10 days free of meditation, and they have these little videos that goes along with it, which I really like. But Insight Timer and Calm are all free, so you don't have to subscribe or anything like that. All right, next up, the next resource is books. So I narrowed down 6 books, and trust me, it is not easy, but I feel like these are books that I want you to start reading now. And I know that they will help you start to do the self-work. So the first one is Own Your Goal by Latham Thomas. And I just started reading this book, and it's all about like soulful living. I mean, that says enough in itself, right? So I just got started, but there's a lot of rituals. The chapters talk about like forgiveness and fear, playing in your, being more playful and just living a life literally that feels good inside and out. The next book I want to share with you is called Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. And if you're someone who deals with like, you want to be more vulnerable, or maybe you feel shameful and you want to be more intentional, this book is really, really good. And I feel like I finished it, but then there's times that I go back and I read certain parts of certain chapters that I need to revisit. But it really hones in on like vulnerability, not being shameful. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. The next book is The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte. And what I like about this book is that it helps you to be intentional with your goals. So there's a lot of self-reflection, and she's more about feelings. And it's a book, but it's also a workbook combined. And again, I'm going to link. You're going to have a printable download that's going to give you all these resources, and then there will be links to each one of these books. The next one is All the Joy I Can Stand by Debrina Gandy. So I checked this book out from the library, and then I didn't finish it, but it's really, really good, y'all, because she talks a lot about self-care, and there's small little chapters or excerpts, because they're like 1 or 2 pages or something, and they are different topics on self-care and personal growth and things like that. And the book was so good, and I didn't want to keep checking out from the library, so I actually purchased it for myself. So I will circle back and finish reading that. And then the last book that I want to share with you is called The Crossroads Between Should and Must by Elle Luna. So there's a great article on medium.com that you can check out that she wrote before the book came out, but it's all about like deciding on what you should do, what you must do. And if you're someone who needs help with like figuring out your purpose and what you're passionate about, that is a perfect book. And I love it because it's very colorful. She's an artist, so there's art throughout the book, and then there's quotes, and then, obviously writing as well. So those are the books that's going to help you get started with doing your self-work. Next up is I'm going to share journals, workbooks, and planners. So of course, I have to start with the Free Your Mind journal that I created. And the Free Your Mind journal is a self-reflection journal to help you start to do the inner work. And so there are 40 journal prompts. So they deal with mindset, clarity, empowerment, and action. So instead of you having to think about what to write, the prompts are already there for you, and all you have to do is answer the questions. And then once you answer the questions, the next thing I want you to do is to take action on what you wrote. There's also coloring pages, there's writing exercises in addition to the journal prompts and affirmations. Next up is the Level Up journal, which was written by my friend Brittany, the branding bestie. And her journal is methods of mindset shifting and positive affirmations that's going to help you change your approach to your future and your belief in yourself. She says by the end of 60 days, you will be able to step outside of your comfort zone and start living the life you used to only dream of. The next one is called Writing the Layers. And this is by my friend Gigi Renee, which I just absolutely love. And it's a self-discovery workbook. And it says, or she wrote, this cultivated workbook is to help you explore the layers of your life. It's a writing guide for self-discovery and personal growth, deeper awareness, and focus. The next journal is the 5-minute journal. So I have a blank journal that I write in every day. Then I also use the Free Your Mind journal. And then I also like the 5-minute journal. So when I don't feel like writing a lot, or I don't feel like answering one of the journal prompts, then I use the 5-minute journal because it's short and sweet and right to the point, right? So every day you write down 3 things that you're grateful for. You write down what you want your day to look like, and you write down, I think, 2 or 3 affirmations. So you have that for the day, and then you have a few more prompts for the evening. And so it's really quick, and I like it. And again, it's called the 5-minute journal. Next is a coloring book called I Love My Hair by Andrea Pippins. I love this coloring book because the pages are so beautiful, and it's all about natural hair, and it's so cute and beautiful the way that she created it. So coloring is really good for like de-stressing and just being more creative. It's the very reason I added coloring pages to my journal. So definitely check that out. And then I want to share 2 planners with you that I am currently using right now. One is the Cultivate What Matters planner by Laura Casey. And what I like about her planner is really good because you have to answer a lot of self-reflection questions before you start planning out your goals. So it helps you get really clear about what you want, and then you can map out what you want to get done and start to add them into your day-to-day routine. And then the other planner that I am using that was created by my friend Monique Malcolm from Keep Chasing the Stars is called the Visionary Journal. And what I love is that she created this planner that basically is a goal-setting plan on how to get things done. And you fill everything in, but you have to answer, like there's pages for a vision board, there's a 90-day action plan, there's questions that you have to answer in between, to really help you get stuff done. And I don't know any other planner like hers because it's literally a system to conquer your goals. So definitely check that out. All right, next up is I want to share some affirmation cards with you. So again, it seems like I have something in all the categories, right? But of course, I want you to check out the Girl Be Free affirmation cards because it's a deck of 31 cards with a different affirmation that you can set for every day. And affirmations obviously is nothing but positive statements that you can recite to yourself every day to get rid of the negative thoughts, the stinking thinking, all of that. And so check out the Girl Be Free cards. And then once you go through the deck of 31, then you can just repeat and go through them again. And you can carry them with you everywhere you go, post them up at work, wherever you need to be reminded day in and day out, to give yourself like that mini pep talk. Keep them with you everywhere. And the next one I want to share with you is called Cards on the Table, which were created by my friend Tara Jefferson. And her cards are actually journal prompts. So every day you pick a different card and it has a different journal prompt for you to write in your journal. So again, if you're not someone where you journal all the time or you always get stuck with, I don't know what to write about, she created these cards so that you don't even have to think about it. And they're all about self-care. All right, the next one is called The Universe Has My Back by Gabby Bernstein. So I just got these cards like yesterday, but they are so beautiful. And my friend had a deck of them and I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta have them. So obviously every day there's a different affirmation, but they're so pretty. I really love them. And then affirmators, which are 50 affirmation cards to help you 50 affirmation cards to help you help yourself without the self-helpiness. So they're really cute cards. I've had them for about a year, I believe. And I like them because they're cute. They have it's like a different word on each card, and then it'll help you. Like one of the words was manifestation, and then it'll give you like a little excerpt about manifestation. Another one that I really like is perseverance. Perseverance. So I like those. So those are 4 different types of affirmation cards that you can check out. Next is self-care. So these are resources that will help you with self-care. And there's no link to this. This is just something that I wanted to share. I want you to start a gratitude jar or a gratitude box. And every day you write down something that you are grateful for, big or small. You fold it up and you put it in your jar or your box. And then at the end of the month or maybe the end of the year, you open up the jar and you can read everything that you were grateful for throughout the year. So I like that. I have one myself. And I also received one as a gift from this young lady named Julia when I was in North Carolina. She gave me a gratitude box. So that's something that you can start. Also, what's helping me with self-care is crystals and stones. So I've been collecting crystals for about maybe a year now, possibly, I feel like. And I have a nice collection. And obviously and I shouldn't say obviously because it may not be obvious to everyone, but the stones, they have different energies, right? So some of them are for prosperity or for wealth, help you with creativity, love, all kinds of things. And wealth, I don't know if I said wealth. And so I get my stones from my friend Denise from the Positive Life Haven. And they have been helping me be intentional. So I will wear them. Like I'll put them in my pocket or I'll keep them on me in my bra. I may have them sitting on a desk by me depending on what I need. And again, I have a nice collection and I'm always buying new ones from her because I'm like, I need that, or I need to have a certain set in my car. Then I have some on my desk at home. Again, I wear them. So yes. Crystals and stones have been really beneficial. And then lastly, my friend, again, Tara Jefferson, has the self-care box. And every other month, you get a box of self-care items just for you. And so each month every other month is a different theme. And I think her business is over a year old and she has been doing amazing. So definitely check out the self-care box. It's like getting a nice little surprise every other month just for you. All right. Lastly, my last resource to share with you are websites and Instagram pages that I follow that I highly recommend. So number 1, going back to Alex L., I love her page. She takes the most beautiful pictures of her and her family. She's all about self-care. She is an author, so her writings that she shares, they always hit home. And then she focuses on intentional living. So intentional living and self-care is what her page is about. So definitely follow her on Instagram. She also has a blog where she journals called Another Sunday. So you can check that out as well. And then the next Instagram page that I want to share is called Brown Kids. And it's a husband and wife, and basically they share their lifestyle about being a minimalist. And I just love them. They just seem so fun from their, social media platform. And you can tell that they genuinely want to help people live a lifestyle that's minimal and that you feel good about. The next Instagram page is Nikisha Riley, and her page is about living a holistic lifestyle. So she'll share food and recipes. She will share her self-care routine, how she's taking care of her skin, and then she what I really like about her page is that she's really vulnerable and she tells the truth and she keeps it real and she doesn't sugarcoat things from just reading like her caption. And she I don't know if she still is, but I know I found her through Urban Bush Babe. And so she has this platform. Her name again is Nikisha Riley. And I like her page a lot. The next one, I like the Instagram page, and I also enjoy the website called The Blissful Mind. And it's health and wellness, mindfulness, and self-care. That's what her website and her Instagram page is about. Next is The Positive Life Haven. And so this is my friend Denise, and she sells crystals, stones, Palo Santo, sage. She does Reiki. And so she's someone you should totally check out, especially if you are new to getting stones and crystals and things like that. Check out her page check out her page and her website because it's very informative. And you can learn a lot just by following her page. Next up, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's Idil Ahmed. And her Instagram page is all about consciousness and a real global consciousness. And I discovered her on Behind the Brilliance podcast and fell in love with just like her energy that I was able to get just from listening to her. And every day she shares the most inspiring words on Twitter and Instagram. So check her out. She also has a book club that you can become a member of as well. All right, a few more here. And this one I just recently discovered called Omnoir. And it's a social wellness, I'm probably saying it wrong, but let me spell it. Omnoire. And it's a social wellness community for women of color. And she also plans retreats and focuses on living well. So I know she has a few retreats coming up. One in particular that I have my eye on is Bali, because that is like the dream place that I want to go. So check out her page, and that's on Instagram. And then Vex King. His Instagram page is all about positivity, inspiration, wisdom, and raising your vibration. And then lastly is Hey Friend Hey. So she has a website, heyfriendhey.com. And then you can also, again, follow her on Instagram. And again, she's part of the trio from the Friend Zone. And her page is all about mindful living. And she now hosts a self-care retreat tour. So you can check that out. I know she's going to different cities. Hopefully she comes somewhere close to me because I would love to go. So that is what I have for you. So that was a lot. And I didn't realize this episode would be as long as it is. But, I had a lot and this is not everything, but this is a great starting point of resources for you to start to do the self-work. So your action step for this week is very simple. Download and print out this list so you have it for reference, and then share this podcast with a friend because I'm sure that they can benefit from it. And then a few announcements here. So the Be Free meetup is coming up on April 13th. It's happening in Cleveland, Ohio, and it's where I get women together to talk about to gather, to connect, to learn and grow, and just be around other supportive, like-minded women. So that's happening on April 13th. The link for the tickets will be in the show notes. And then also the Be Free Life class is happening on April 28th, where I'm teaming up with Dawn from Daybreak Yoga, which we'll be talking about freeing your mind, and we will also be practicing yoga. So you can learn about both of those events by clicking the link in my show notes. And then I am launching a membership site. So you may remember, if you've been listening to this podcast since day one, I used to have a Facebook group. And I have since archived the group because I wanted to kind of build a community where I can offer group coaching, where I could have community of women who were ready and willing to do the work and hold them accountable, and then also provide tons of resources just like today to help you on the journey. So I am in the middle of launching a membership site. So it'll be an online platform, and then there'll also be an app to it as well. And so if you want to be in the loop, you want to be in the know about what's going on, you want to know how you can sign up, definitely click the link in the show notes, and you will find you'll be on a list where once I start getting everything together, you will be informed. And I'm also going to have a trial version for people. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. So that is everything that I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, girl, be free. Thank you so much for listening. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling really fancy, go ahead and leave a review. Until next time, be free and live.